So we are talking about marriage now. We've been talking about so many things. We've had, and now we are happy that it's our turn, right? So now, Omolade, I would like to ask you this question because today we are having the Create It conference. We're having the Create It conference, and we want to. Everybody here in this room wants to know how they can create now, and how they can create um, in the future, right? For those who are not married yet. Can you tell us just one thing before we go deep dive into the questions I have here? One thing that you know has helped you as a woman on this journey of marriage, career, and having both, being able to have both and do well in both and still love both as you have journeyed.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I feel privileged to be here. And while Oluchi was speaking earlier, I felt like this is it. I'm sure at one time or the other, you've asked yourself that why is it that no one is really teaching about marriage? It, it's as if it's something that is only left for churches or left for other people. We talk about businesses, we talk about career, we talk about so many things. But a very important aspect of our lives, we just leave it. So I'm really saying thank you so much, to Seed Academy for putting this together and really pushing it to the forefront.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So now to to answer our question, I think it's a lot. She said one thing. I think one thing that has really helped me in the past 18 years of our marriage is intentionality. Yes, you can clap to that. By the grace of God, we've been married for 18 years. It was 18 years in August 2025. And one thing, among others, since you are just saying one thing, is to be intentional. It's much more than how I feel or what somebody else think, but it's about this is what I want to do. I want this to work. I want to be able to move my relationship with my husband, who is not just my husband, who is my coach, my business partner, my friend, all wrapped in one. It's just being very intentional about the relationship. Thank you.
And Mr. Niye, you as well want to know one thing.
Okay, so for me, I would like to start by saying that I love the fact that we talked about career, we talked about business. Talking about family, for me, that is the building block of the society. It's not governed by government. Even though they present a certificate, it's governed by the superpowers. Okay, so I don't want to say God, I don't know God. Maybe I can say God, right? So the law of God governs marriage because he instituted marriage. So you may go to the marriage registry to get a certificate of being wedded, but understand that you are coming into covenant. Contract governs business, but covenant is superior to contract. In contract, you watch out for your interest. In covenant, you watch out for the interest of the others. What you say is that if for one reason or the other my partner faces a danger, I count it as myself being in danger. So I rise above and beyond my need to stand for our need. Okay, so I just want to establish that, and want to see also that a lot of times we spend a lot of time on the wedding day and not give thought to the married life. The wedding day is one, that's what is seen on social media. But the married life, nobody will be there with you except you and your spouse. And it's as you lay your bed, that's how you lie on it. I was going to say that, and she said it, we married for 18 years. Something happened to us before we got into marriage, and I would like to share that with everyone. So I'm sorry I'm digressing. And I feel it's important. I recently shared it, there's no coincidence in the spirit. So there was someone, and then I shared it with him. I really didn't know how powerful it was. And he said, man, that was powerful. He sent me messages to say, thank you for sharing that. And that is the fact that coming into marriage, we have the understanding that the natural progression of things is for things to degrade with time. You will agree with me. If you cook your food, you put it on put it in this oil. This oil is neat, but if you come back in 10 days, that food will be bad. If you build a house, no matter how good the house is, if you don't maintain the house, if you don't do anything to the house, in 10 years' time, the house will be bad. Not because you intend the house to be bad, but that is the natural order of things. Some in the law of economics, they call it law of diminishing returns, right? That means if you keep using something, after some time, in fact, I think that's the reason why a normal man dies. Because if you've been using your body over time, after 80, 90 years, if you're lucky, the body says, man, I'm done. I'm ready to go. All right. But then we found a principle from the pages of the scriptures. I think it's in John chapter 2. The first miracle that Jesus performed. He went to the wedding at Cana. And the natural order was you bring out the best at the beginning. Isn't that what people tell you? You're in the honeymoon, stay in the moon, or come out of the moon. This love is shocking you. Don't worry, after 1 year to not. In fact, someone told me when I got away, they said, how long have you been married? Do you have any? He asked me, because we're a colleague in the office, do you have a side chick? I said, I don't have a side chick. He said, okay, I give you 4 years. I said, no, because I'm a believer. I will not have a side chick. But then I felt like I was an imposter because I've actually not had that length of years to be able to make that boast that I will not. But then I said, okay, let me watch myself. 18 years and counting, I don't have a side chick. All right. So that's the natural order. And then when Jesus came on the scene, Jesus changed the natural order. What did he do? Turn water to wine. That's what everybody knows. But the most important miracle was not that it turned water to wine, was that it changed the order. The order was for things about marriage to degrade with time. When Jesus turned water to wine, the wine could have been the same like the first one, but Jesus did not stop there. He decided, because he was teaching a lesson, that from the beginning it was not so. When I created you, before they came to spoil what God created, marriage was meant to grow better with time. And that understanding made us to decide that one, we will stay in this marriage as long as we live. Two, this marriage will shock us till we die. Three, we will give it what it takes. So those were the things that I felt I would like to share with you. So what has helped us? In terms of what has helped me as a person? Communication. I would say communication. You can't over communicate. So recently my company, we went through a transition period. And as we're trying to transit, right, as leaders, we're trying to help everybody to transit. And then one of the secret sauce to helping us to transit is communicate. And it was added, you can't over communicate, because communication helps people to transit. In marriage, you are transiting. You used to be living alone. Maybe you're a bachelor for 30 years, a spinster for 25 years. Now you're transiting to be married. You need to communicate. Communicate your feelings. Communicate your fears. Communicate your fantasies. I dare say it. Communicate. Someone saw me and had some issue with his wife. No, not with his wife. He was going to get wedded and was already having issues. And he says that with this person, I don't feel myself. But he had someone else he was saying. And he said, with that other one, I'm just myself. I said, that means that you're able to communicate your fantasies to the person. He said, yes. What about your? He said, no. Break the mold. Don't be thinking of a fantasy in your mind that you have not shared with your wife. She's the legitimate owner of that fantasy. Share it with her. Let her hear it. And it won't kill you. It will just help you. Now, the reason why is that sometimes we build things in our mind we are not able to communicate, and it comes one way or the other because it's unmet expectation. And sometimes when we see our wives or you see your husband, rather than seeing your husband, you are seeing another man. And not you are always comparing. Why? Because you build a model in your mind.
Amazing. Can we give a round of applause for that? Communication, communication, communication. And I didn't see that coming. I didn't see communication going to that angle. But the truth is, can you actually communicate everything that's on your mind to your spouse? It goes beyond communicating about the things that you feel comfortable saying. So how about the hard things? How about those things that you feel like, I might look crazy? Like, she'll be like, huh? What is that? So another thing is, I wanted to add something. Another thing is, we also need to make it safe to communicate, because there's a kind of person I will be. When you think of the person you're going to communicate this thing to, you say, please, you swallow back. But we all also need to ensure that we are working on ourselves to be a safe place for our spouses to communicate. Amazing. So now we've listened to your profile. You are both ambitious people. You both have your careers. But I want to ask, at what point in your marriage did you both build your careers at the same time? Was there ever a time whereby yours was a priority or his was a priority? How did you both navigate your careers, your businesses with family? And were there times that one had to, take the back seat for the other to go ahead in their career? Or we really want to know how that dynamic came to happen. I would like to hear from you.
All right. Yes. Okay. I think for us, from the beginning, we had an agreement before we even got wedded that we were going to have a family business.
Okay.
So we were not sure what it was going to be exactly, but we knew and we agreed. I remember this day we went, out. So it was an open space, and we started talking and planning for the future. Then we said we're going to have a family business. And was that when we agreed that I would be? No, okay, so that was just that we're going to have a family business. So it was just there. Then, by the time we got married, I was into I think my first degree was in communication. I was into I was working in an advertising agency, among other things. Then the Lord blessed us quickly, and we had a family, or a baby was coming on the way. Then it was just a very good time. At that time, like he's working and he's doing very well in his office. So what we did was we weighed the option that now that we are married, we relocated, we were starting a new family, then who is going to take the risk? So we sat down and looked at it and said, okay, this is what you are doing at the moment. This is the value that you are adding to the family. Then we looked at the long-term impact of what I was doing and what it was doing at that time. So with that, we were able to make up our minds that, okay, you keep your job. Then for me, because my job was on the mainland and we had moved to the highlands, okay, I will leave that job, then start up the family business. So over the years, so what had happened is that at every point in time that we need to make a decision about who should, lead, we look at the value that what each one of us is bringing to the table at that time. This is to let you know that things, it changes over the past 18 years. We've experienced different seasons in our lives, career, business-wise, family-wise. So at every season, what we do is we look at who is there at the moment. And an example that is coming to my mind now is when it was time for me to go for my master's, and I needed to go to Paris, to be able to study more and in the fashion industry. I think I've jumped the gun. But what happened at that time, we weighed it that in terms of the family business, for this business to move forward, I needed to grow more, I needed to learn more, I needed to be exposed. So at that point, I had to, be out of the family system for like a year. Then at that point, he needed to step in and take care of the family, the children, just hold on to the home front and even the existing business while I went, to study and learn more. And there have been times also that, okay, another example was when after I did my 1 year and I was happy coming with this excitement, let's go do amazing things in the fashion industry. Then he had to relocate. He actually got his relocation letter before I go back. So what I did at that time was we weighed the option. Should I stay back and start building this and stay with the children? Should we leave him? Then because at the beginning we had already agreed that any journey that would separate us for more than 2 weeks, it sounds absurd. Any journey that will separate us for more than 2 weeks, we have to find a way to see ourselves. So it's been like that for 18 years. So when I traveled, he came like I think 3 times to see me. So when he had to be moved outside the country, we know it is an agreement already. I know I have to be with him. So at that point, I held on to all the plans, went with him, allowed him to settle down, settle the children in school. And because I gave at that time, by the time they were settled, then I was able to start another business in the US. So now when they are reading my profile, they'll say, oh, I have a business in the US, I do this. It's because I gave up, then eventually I was able to get something back in return. So for us, it's always been weighing the options, communicating and saying, what do we have to gain? So we look beyond an individual, we look into ourselves, then we look into the future and say, does this tally with our vision? Who should take a step back? Who should we support? So by the time we get, clarity on this, then both of us support this other person with the whole of our lives, and the other person steps down, momentarily, until another time, if it is my turn, he is mandated to support me. And when it is his turn, I am mandated also to support him. That's what we've been doing for the past 18 years.
Amazing. A round of applause. All I've been hearing is you had a vision. You had a vision. So from the beginning, so it wasn't even you didn't have to have a meeting because you already had a vision. You already planned. We will not be away from each other for 2 weeks. All of these things were pre-written. So when the time came, you just brought it out. It has been written. And then it was easy to make that decision, right? So my next question, it seems somehow like you already spoke about it, but I'll just still ask this. So tell us about a real tension point. Maybe a promotion, maybe a relocation, or a new business decision, where work and family pulled in opposite directions. How did you argue it out? What did you put in place afterwards so it wouldn't break the marriage or affect your marriage?
Okay, so I would like to jump in here.
Yeah.
So one thing I first want to say is that in marriage, you will have situation where there is tension.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to imagine that if I bless you now, I say, hey, in the name of Jesus, you will not have tension in marriage. I've just lied.
Mm-hmm.
Because even Jesus said that storm, if you build a house, storm will come to test the foundation of the house. So tension will come. So we've had series of tension, okay? That's one. Two is that we've also agreed that though we may have point of differences, but we are bound to solving the problem. not to walk away from it. So sometimes I may not feel like solving the problem instantly, but it does not mean that I won't still come back to the table to have discussion, to talk through until we solve the problem. So because we realize that if we did not pre-agree before the issue happened, we'll be running helter-skelter and we will pull apart. Now, so we had made that agreement that when there are issues, you may not feel like talking about it now, I may not feel like talking about, but we will sit together at some point and talk through it until we resolve it. So we talk through till we resolve it. Now, let me give an example. So I was listening to, please remind me your name again. Fred, Ferdinand. Were you the one in Canada? Pastor Juice's friend? Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Because he has a very good friend, Ferdinand. All right. So, and you were talking, and I wrote it down, where you were talking about business, the mindset of a builder and a founder. I just want to read it. It says, mindset of a builder founder. It says, stick with it and solve the problem, right? So, and you know that business is not a linear journey. You said so. So she's holding for the family business, and obviously she's taking on more risk, more responsibility. So the business was not making money. We were pumping money. We were just putting in money. So there was a time that created tension. That how can we be doing a business and we are not making money? Should we shut down the business? I have my own evaluation, and she had her own because she was closer to the business. But then it was a point of tension. And I remember one particular evening, I just said, I think we should shut down this business. I think we should shut down this business. Don't forget that she made a sacrifice to leave all just to sit on this business. Okay, so you can imagine how it is for her. How did we come through that? Because that was a point of tension. In fact, one of the things that came out of it was that she needed to go to school. Okay, so that's why she went to do fashion business, and then we went to the US. But when we were trying to talk through this, okay, so it's also good to have covenant partners, right? I remember before we now sat together to say, now let's take the final decision, a friend of mine that is like a covenant or a prayer partner just called me out of the blues and spoke specifically about the business. That the business must not die. Come on. What kind of thing is that one? We want to shut down this business. This thing has been draining funds. So, and that placed a burden on us to find solution. One of the things that we did, because then we were importing things by ourselves. So we'll buy things from the US to sell. One of the decisions we made was we stopped importing ourselves. We buy off those that have imported those things. What that did for us was to reduce the cycle time to turn over the money. What that did for us also was to be competitive, because sometimes you have quality stuff, but it's expensive. My brother, in Nigeria, it's not just about quality stuff. It's about the price. Price. And some people have been successful enough to bring those things in at a price that even when you had your profit, you will still be able to sell at a good price. So we felt, let's ditch, because then we had access to be able to bring things from the US. We felt, we are doing good stuff. We are building network. We want to vertically integrate, but we realized, no, to be able to survive first, you need to survive. To survive, we need to ditch that model. Change it, buy off those that are brought in, and then be able to quickly sell. One of the things we also did was to explore online, and that helped to bring in funds, to bring in more sales, and also for us to be able to quickly turn over the money. We had to put some structures in place, and also she had to go to school. So that was a tension point. I remember. I think she has some issue on her heart, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for that. Can we just give a round of applause for that? Okay, one tension
yes,
point.
I'd like
Okay.
to share a tension point because in marriage, tension, just like you mentioned, would always come. And when we were growing up, that was not the focus of marriage. Whenever they are telling us about marriage, when you watch movies, what you see is a love. Love, somebody hugging you, buying flowers, all those beautiful things. Yes. So they didn't add tension to the package. So it was even looking like if you are experiencing tension, maybe that was not a good marriage. But actually, tension is part of the package. So for those who are not married, please know that tension is part of the package. So because tension comes does not mean that your partner or it does not love you. So most times it means that they are actually communicating their intention and making their minds known. So this one that I want to talk about, I know my husband may not be comfortable about it, but I think I should share it for someone's benefit. Okay, so I think a few years ago or months ago, one of our clients visited Nigeria, even Africa, for the first time. And when he was coming, he came in with his wife. So after, we were at the factory, so many things, we've done a lot of things. Then this particular day, we were supposed to go out for a dinner. He's my coach, my business partner, my husband. So we went together. So at that point, I think I just momentarily forgot that he was my husband. So I was just all over these clients, trying to just make him comfortable, and I was just trying to be kind and nice. Honestly, I didn't know he was extremely offended, and I didn't want to go into details. So this created tension for weeks. How I sat, how I was moving towards the person, how I was looking into his eyes. So it was really a lot of tension. So at first, the mistake I made was that I just dismissed it and said, no, I don't think it was. So that was the first thing. So I would like to say, if a tension like that comes in, it may be in any way. If your partner, communicates his worries or his concerns, please never dismiss it. No matter how unrealistic you think it is. Or when you look at yourself, that no, nothing like that happened. I was only being nice. So I dismissed it, and that created more tension. So eventually, what did we do? So we had to sit over it, and now it was now giving me the lowdown of what happened. And okay, I had to apologize. Then say it was not intentional. Then we now had to build it and say next time. So this is what I will do. So whenever you are having a dinner or a breakfast or anything with a client, so I ensure that there's boundary. There's boundary. There has to be boundary. No matter how kind or how nice you are, it has to be strictly professional. And if you are doing business with your partner, as I am doing, so at that point in time, one of the things, the responsibilities I have is to quickly switch. A lot of people find it difficult to do it. That this person you have is not only your husband, is your business partner, is so many things. So sometimes I only think about him as my husband, and it puts us in trouble. And sometimes I'm only thinking about him as a business partner. So ability to be able to switch at different point in time has really, really helped me a lot. So do not dismiss, then also sit down and communicate, and then recognize oh, I'm sorry, this is how I made you feel. This allows your partner to, I think she mentioned it the other time that you must be able to have a safe space. If I just shut him down, with time he will just keep quiet and say, okay, go on. I'm watching you. But I was able to acknowledge and say, okay, this is how I'm sorry, this is how I made you feel. Then put some necessary adjustments, and one of it is to create boundaries. Then another one is to communicate. So if I'm meeting with anyone, I have to be able to share with him, okay, this is who I'm meeting with, this is what is happening, da da da. So he has an understanding of it, and he too is able to communicate with that client at his own time. I don't know, do you want to add anything to that?
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for them. So our time is fast, but I'll ask you this one last question for both of you. One question, and let's be brief so they won't chase us out of the stage. So one last question here. If we followed your family for 1 week, what would we see behind the scenes, the system, the help, the routine? What are we going to see? I want to ask you, Omolade, that question.
Wow. I think if you follow our family, one of the things you will see first is our values. You wouldn't see it online, but you will see that we value family first. God first. After God, it is family. Then also we value communication. We also, pray together. We see it as, it's not being religious, we see it as our way of life, as our essence. So you see us pray together, and the most interesting part about our prayers that I love is when we begin to make declarations. So it's not only, oh Lord, do this, oh Father. No. We begin to make declarations. And the one that is most beautiful is when he makes declarations over me, or when I make it over him, then he begins to call my name and begin to tell me who I am. And begin to speak and say, the one I love the most is, rise up and sit, you are a king. A throne is placed on your head. Scepter has been put in your hand. A shoe, of rulership has been brought to your feet. Rule in the midst of your enemies. You are feeling, you will begin to speak. Then also I speak. And most times I see that these things that we say come to pass. Yeah. I remember there was a time, I don't know if I can say it, we were trusting the Lord that he would get a quick promotion. And for like 2 weeks, this was our declaration. Apart from people just speak, that my name has been called, they give me this. And it happened. So please speak.
Declare.
Thank you.
Declare in your homes. Amazing. So I'll ask you the very last question before we leave. Looking at younger couples coming behind you, what is one thing you think they are underestimating about marriage? Either money, sacrifice, partnerships. What one thing do you think they are underestimating, and how can they change that? Very fast, sir.
Hallelujah. All right. All right. I will give you more than one. Okay. The first I would like to say that, as a young couple, you may underestimate is what it takes to do business together. Most times, we want to do business as lovers, but we don't want the scrutiny, the accountability, the result that must come with the fact that you are doing business. Business does not understand sentiments. In marriage is heart, in business is head. Most times we underestimate what it takes to do business together. Oh, we've had series of tensions because we were learning to be couples that do business together. So we were business partners, we were lovers, we were parents, and sometimes you find it hard to switch. Now, if you're doing business together, understand that business is about results. Business demands in the market. they don't give you stuff because you are the husband of Omalade. They give you stuff because you bring in the money. You buy stuff, you pay stuff, you deliver value. Now, if you're doing business together, you have to understand that we are business partners. So as business partners, he can demand that, accountability from me, and I should be able to demand from him. I must demand from him. I must put my idea to the table. We must look at things together as business partners. As couples, we keep the home. We understand what it takes to move the family forward. That's one. The other thing that is most times, balancing sacrifice, money and stuff like that is what I want to talk about sacrifice. A lot of times we underestimate what it takes to really sacrifice. And really, sacrifice is the fuel for commitment. Do you want to tell me you're committed? If you cannot point to me what you have sacrificed because of your commitment, you have no commitment. We are here right now because we are committed, because we sacrificed something. You're seated right here and you're committed to this meeting because you sacrificed, you gave up another meeting, right? Commitment and sacrifice, they are the things that we need to. Sometimes I feel that we underestimate what it takes to actually sacrifice, because you will sacrifice today, you will sacrifice tomorrow. It's a never-ending journey, and sometimes we underestimate what it draws from us to sacrifice. I want to encourage everyone. They asked the 90-year-old couple and asked them, "What is the secret to your marriage?" And they said when they were growing up, their parents taught them that when something gets broken, you fix it. But that in this generation, we are taught when something gets broken, you buy another product. Marriage is not like that. And statistics have shown if you get out of your first marriage, the chances you will get out of your second is higher. So it's the same spec, man and woman, right? Whatever issues you are having, you are not unique. It's common to man. It's common to man.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So this is the Create Conference. Whatever issues you are having, it's common to man. We are here to learn how to create, to build, and I hope with everything that we've talked about on this panel, we've been able to give you strategies that you can use to create the marriage of your dreams. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Seed Academy, your growth partner.